Hello everyone, this is Ashish here. Let me first share my screen. Yeah. Okay. So this is the agenda for today's demo. I am very happy that the people who are joining this demo, they are very keen about to know the outcome of this demo, whether they can go for the certification or the project for a specific exercises. So let me brief about myself first, and then we will go over, the programming overview, Java history and all, and then we can arrive at the practical demo, how we can, use Java for the enterprise softwares, right? So my name is Ashish Verma. I have around 11 years of experience working as a consultant trainer, and before that I was just a software architect with the big firms. So I have expertise in starting with core Java JEE, servlet, middleware, and number of things. So probably some of them you have heard, and some of them you must have you did not heard at all. So that is not a problem. But the point is that once you start learning Java, then it's not only for your website development, but it has many more things into that. Okay, so just to sorry, answer your question related to the Oracle certification, that is earlier it was SCJP, but now it is OCJP, that Oracle Certification Java Program, and the current version is 7. So we do the training for the Java using JDK 1.7. The JDK 1.8 is the latest one, but we do with JDK 1.7 because JDK 8 is still not established, right? So if you are taking this course seriously, doing the exercise regularly, and doing the sub projects during the course, I'm sure you must be able to take this certification, because whatever is the certification requirement, we teach more than that. But it depends on the participant, how seriously they are taking this course, how seriously they are doing the exercises and all, right? So we'll come to the course contents and we'll go over that. Before that, let me just start with the programming overview. Here on the screen you can see one pyramid. This pyramid is basically is giving you the hierarchical development or the evolution of the programming languages from the starting of the computer to till today. Though I did not cover many of the languages, but I am focusing on the C++ and Java, which are most popular language in object oriented world. So starting with the machine language, which was there in the early stage of the computers, and they could understand only 0 1. So if you are writing a program, then you have to convert everything into the 0 1 string, and the 0 1 significance at that point of time was in terms of the electrical voltage. So there we used to have the punch card, and the computer size was almost equivalent to the a room size or a warehouse, and the output was indicated by just by just bulb. If the bulb is on, then the output is there, and the researcher and the scientist, they used to interpret that output in the machinery terms. But that was very hard for any programmer to write the program, at least for the general user like us, right? Because we are not building any hardware, or we are not at that level of the scientific research. we need a programming language just to program, and which should be easy to understand. So later on, when the evolution and the development happened into the computer world, the machine language was replaced by the assembly language. So there was some relief. Then we had the symbols and assembler. Instead of doing coding for 0 and 1s, we started coding into the assembly form, right? Some of the examples are like load, add, move. These were the instructions for the CPU, and it was a bit easy, to do the programming in assembly. But again, it was uh, at that complex level, which was not suited for the general user too, right? But in turn, when you are doing the programming in assembly language, you have to convert into the machine language at some point of time, maybe using assembler and the other related tools like linker, loader, because computer understands only 0 1 till today. What we have done, we have prepared the layer on top of the assembly language, right? So that it is easy for us to do the programming. Later on, after assembly, we had COBOL, one of the first subroutine interpreter based language for mainframe computers. So it was again giving the facilities and simplification over the assembly language, and you can do better than the assembly language here. After that, some magic happened, and Dennis Ritchie, he basically developed the C language, which is used to call the mother of the programming language all the time for the general user. It was the first language. Actually, before C, there were so many other languages, but C gained popularity like anything, and C became the first very general purpose programming language, right? It's a procedure oriented language. So when we talk about the procedure oriented language or the Java or the object oriented language, we need to understand what are the differences between the procedure oriented language and the object oriented language, right? So after C, we had C++, which is a superset of C. It has all the features of C. On top of that, it has the object orientation. Now I'll talk about the object orientation and the procedure oriented language, and Java is just following the footprints of C and C++. So what was the need of Java when we had C and C++ by the time? Why our great inventor Mr. James Glossing, why he developed Java? I'll talk about that. Let me first give you a hint about procedure oriented and object oriented. When I say a particular program or the particular language is following the procedure oriented approach, that means the problem in hand, what we are going to solve, right? How we are tackling the problem. If you are tackling the problem by composing the problem into the sub problems, and for every problem or for every sub problem, if we have a kind of logic, right, which we are writing using the procedures. Procedures is just like a function, a set of instructions, right? And then we are just sequencing these functions to achieve that particular problem in hand. Then we say that we are following the procedure oriented approach, because it is well said that if you have a big problem, just divide the problem into the sub problems for each and every sub problem. If you create a subroutine or the functions, and then later on you arrange these functions in a specific sequence, then it would be easy later on to modify those sub functions instead of just writing a big function, which was the case with the COBOL basically. COBOL is just like you start from the beginning and till the end. You write everything, every logic in one function. But this approach had also some of the disadvantages. I hope you people have some uh, background related to the computer. At least you are internet user. You understand the HTTP. You understand the website www, right? So when I talk about the object oriented is like you are simplifying the development of the programs from the functions to the object. Now you consider everything as an object. In this real world, if we see, we will find around each and everything which is an object, right? So if we decompose our programming problem in terms of object, and finally these objects talk to each other to create that logical sequence to achieve the particular problem, then we say we are doing the development in terms of the object oriented fashion. We have other terms like compiler, interpreter, dynamic linking. These things are basically just to help the general purpose programmer to write the program without worrying about the internal complexities, what the programming language or the related hardware has to deal with, right? Okay, so any question on this particular pyramid or the language history? If not, then I will move on to the next slide. Alright, so Java, as I said, has the features of both C and C++, and some of the feature he has basically cut it from the C++ and just making it simple for the general purpose programmer. So why Java invented by the James Blosing? So before pitching into this particular area, I just want to talk about little bit enterprise software. When I say enterprise software, what are the things which comes in the mind? Can anybody just let me know what is the enterprise software? Anyone? No answer at all. Okay. So enterprise software is basically a software which facilitate an organization to conduct their business smoothly in terms of the IT communication. There are two popular use cases in enterprise software where one business is talking to other business and it is a business to business application. The other one is where business is directly interacting with the consumer or the customer. That is B2C use case. So when we talk about business to business, then number of things comes in mind where a particular vendor is providing or giving its services to the to the other vendor or to the other supplier in terms of the IT functionalities, right? Let's say example is here is like we are using the banking site. If we are using banking site, then the banking is giving the website for us, the HDFC or ICI, whatever it is, and as a consumer we are going there and we are just opening account or transferring and doing the other stuff. Here we are talking about B2C scenario. Okay, this is one use case what enterprise the organization is basically used to have. The other one, the banking side, is basically talking to the back office, and the back office is just dumping all the transactions related to that day into the database, or it is just replicating all the transactions into the different remote locations of that particular bank. Can be a scenario where B2B comes in. We have other use cases like B2G, where a business is talking to a gateway. If we talk about a payment through the PayPal or the other payment gateways, if we talk about the computer authorities which are actually issuing the certificates in order to conduct the secure transactions. So why we care about all these scenarios? We have to care about the scenarios because the ultimate goal of learning a programming language to do a software development. Now we can go for a B2C kind of use case where we design the websites, or we design the smartphone application, or probably the desktop programs. Then we need a programming language first to write the program, and then these programs or the set of programs will become a software, and this software is going to solve a particular use case, whether it is B2C, B2B, or B2G. Okay, so we need to know about these use cases of enterprise software as well. So Java is a language which is giving you the tools, libraries, the features, not to create B2C, B2B, but it is also giving the facilities to create the application which is going to run on the desktop, web, tablet, notepad. Then you have this smartphones, set-top box, the devices, right? So Java is almost everywhere. Wherever you can see the programs, then Java is there. Okay. So what was the need to develop another programming language called Java when we had C++ by the time, which is object oriented and have all the features, or I would say the features more than the Java. But some of the features of C++ are very much suitable for the system programming. When we talk about the operating system, when we talk about the compiler, when we talk about the interpreter, and when we talk about the device drivers, those things are very much easy to achieve through the C++ and the C standards. But there was a problem with these two languages, though they are still in their popularity and it's not beatable. But the problem was with C and C++, like they were not platform independent. When I say platform independent, what does it mean? By seeing this screen, probably you can figure it out that I have a Java program. It's a simple hello world application, and when we compile this program, the compilation process is just to convert your program into the format which a hardware or the underlying operating system can understand, because the hardware is a simple machine which understands only 0, 1, and before putting into this format, because since we are not doing in the 0, 1 format coding, we are doing in our programming language standards. So somebody required to convert this into that format. So compiler is basically doing that. It compiles a Java program and it hand over this Java program to somebody called JVM, right? The JVM is a Java virtual machine. It basically takes this program and based on the kind of JVM which is running on the underlying platform or the hardware, like if it is a Windows machine, Linux or Mac OS, it runs that program, it talks to the operating system, the JVM machine talks to the operating system and make operating system understand that how it has to run this program into this environment. So by putting JVM into the picture, what we are doing here is we are making the programmer life easy, so that the programmer is supposed to write a program using a programming standard only once, and now it is the responsibility of the JVM of the underlying hardware or the architecture to make it understand that how it has to run. This was missing in C and C++. If we are writing a C++ program, then the C++ program, the compiler output would be a machine dependent. If it is compiled for a Windows machine, then the object code, the final outcome of the compiler, the object code would be compatible only with the Windows machine. If it is for the Unix machine, then it would be compatible only for the Unix machine. So that way, if you are writing a C++ program, then you need to use a compiler for machine dependent, and you need to basically provide the 3 object code for 3 different machines, right? And that way, what is happening, it is actually putting a burden on the developer side that it is your responsibility to use the correct set of tools to generate the object code for the correct set of architecture and the machine configuration. Now Java has removed this by introducing the Java virtual machine. So that way Java is platform independent. Let us further dig into this and see how it actually happens. Now in this particular screen share, you can see the Java source code is there. We use Java compiler and it provides something called Java bytecode. In terms of the Java specification, the object code is used to say Java bytecode, right? And this bytecode is basically moves locally or through the network, something called class loader. We will talk about all these details later, but just bear with me for this screen share. The class loader is there, and then this class loader first validate if it is whether it is the proper bytecode or not, and then it hand over to the Java virtual machine. The Java virtual machine is basically talking to the operating system, which in turn talking to the hardware, and finally your program gets executed. So this is how the JVM works. So now if we have this component which is called Java virtual machine, what we do, basically Java virtual machine is developed for each and every platform, Unix, Linux, Mac OS, OX2 or other operating system like Solaris also. So by developing the JVM for different platforms, we have made programmers to do this thing that they can write a program once and it would be easily run anywhere after that. Yeah, again it's just the explanation of the compiler and interpreter here. You have a Java source code, which Java C.exe is nothing but a Java compiler for different machine architecture. This is x86, this is PowerPC, or this is Spark architecture, which is for Solaris operating system. Sorry. So every compiler of every architecture is basically just confirming the Java bytecode specification, and this specification is used to interpret by the Java EXE, the Java interpreter of the different machines. So this is a very big relief So if you are writing a program by following these standards of Java bytecode, or you don't have to worry about the Java bytecode also. You have to worry only about the Java programming language specification, and if it is fitting into the different verticals of the Java technology for different type of devices, then probably the program what you are writing will run well on every device, right? But on top of that, we have certain profiles also for smartphone, tablet, then in compared to the web and desktop, and for set-top box devices too. So a very small variations is there, but almost 80% to 90% platform independence we can achieve for all set of profiles. If we talk about only the web development, then it is 100%. You write a program and it is going to run for sure for every kind of platform where you are hosting your web application. So it's all of the magic of the bytecode basically. Instead of using object code, we are just using bytecode, so that this magic is happening. So again, here it is, just trying to showcase that how this basically works in web development specifically. I have a website, I have a Java source code, and I write a Java program. I compile with a Java compiler for using a different compiler on different machine, and finally I get this Java bytecode. And then this Java bytecode is basically going to the web server. Web server is a server which is basically is used to serve the client request, and you can initiate a client request from something called browser, right? Internet Explorer, Firefox, those things. The web browser downloads the universal bytecode, which is interpreted locally according to the local conditions. Now if I am using a browser, right, and I am accessing this bytecode over the internet, then something called plugin, which is active into my browser, is basically understand this bytecode. First it verifies the bytecode, and then it loads an instance of Java virtual machine, and then my Java program is going to execute, right? So this is how the Java application works, especially for the applet environment. And if you have the HTTP based websites, then it is going to work using the HTTP protocol. So the applet, when it was introduced from the Sun microsystem, this was the only one kind of technology which was facilitating all over the world that how they can download something called Java bytecode and to run on their own machine in the same way they are interacting with the desktop application. So this was a major hit by the time. Okay. So any questions so far? All right. So what was the need of the bytecode basically? Just to understand a little bit further. Since we know that the programming, or basically the program, is in existence, we write the program only because to process data. If we don't have any data, because IT and IT technologies or Java, or for that matter any other programming language, right, is there for processing the data to get some information. So we do write program because we care about data, and when we care about data, then the computer also understands this thing, and they provide something called primitive types or data types basically to store your data. This data can related to anything. It can be a number, a string, right? An image, a video. It's all data. Now, how the computer represent data on the different architecture. If it is a Spark architecture, if it is INT86 or Windows machine, Linux machine, that depends on the operating system and the underlying configuration and whatever methodologies or they were using at the time of inventing that particular operating system. So it may happen a particular data type, let's say integer or float, right, would have the different requirement on the different architecture and the configuration of the machines. So this requirement is directly mapping to the memory requirement, because suppose if I have a program which is having around 10 integers, right? So on a particular machine, if the integer size is equivalent to the 4 bytes, then I need a 40 bytes. Okay. On the other hand, if I have a machine where the integer size is only 2 bytes, then the requirement is only 20 bytes. So to overcome the inconsistencies of the data types across the different machines, James thought we need something which is not dependent on the machine, but it should be dependent on the program, another program, which will basically take this responsibility to convert this specification for the actual machines. And that program is basically known as the JVM, and the specification, which is not directly relating to the memory requirement, was bytecode. So bytecode was required to work with the various data types, because the various data types will have a different memory footprint in different machines. To make it consistent, James invented this concept of bytecode to replace normal object code. Earlier, there was no abstraction, there was no additional layer between the operating system and your underlying programming environment. So what you used to do, basically, they used to create a program, and the program were directly matching the requirement of the operating system, and they were generating the object code. So this was the overall thought behind the Java being platform independent, Java being a secure language, because they put another layer called JVM. So JVM is also working like a machine. That's why it is used to call Java virtual machine. It has its own instruction set, like CPU has its own instruction set. It has the compiler, interpreter, its own the specifications, which would run by the CPU, something called bytecode. In terms of the operating system, it would be object code, right? So it's like full-fledged machine, but it is a virtual machine. Okay, so yeah, any questions so far? If the questions are not there, that means we understood everything, or you're still thinking what to ask. Okay, not a problem. So Java is simple. Java is simple in many terms, because it does not, first of all, it does not allows the programmer or the developers to deal with the memory, which is a very dirty thing to do actually. When you are doing or developing a program, writing a program, to manage memory is very complex and frustrating thing. So Java says that you don't worry about the memory management, let me do on behalf of you, unlike C, C++, which just give you the facility to allocate, deallocate, memories on on your responsibility, right? So Java is saying, let me hide memory for you, and you don't have to interact with the pointers anymore. And also it is giving this, it's not allowing the multi-inheritance because it may create a cyclic reference and diamond problems. These are the shortcomings of C++ basically. From a general purpose computer programmer. But these are the advantages to a programmer who is working for something called system software, who is at that level, who can understand the memory management, bits manipulation, right, allocation, deallocation, garbage collection, and other complex stuff related to the system programming. But as a general purpose programmer, we do not care about these things much, because we are supposed to write a programs for the business functionalities. We need to focus there on the business related tools and logic. If we will put our energy for all this stuff, then it would be a very complicated scenario. Okay, so a diamond problem is nothing but a cyclic reference. In this screen, you can see the person, student, employee. These three classes are there, right? The person is a concept, right? Person can be anything. It can be a student, it can be employee, it can be a doctor, it can be a teacher, it can be anything. So what we do, we first identify person and then we categorize the person into two categories, and we say one is a student, another one is an employee, because a student and employee has a different characteristics and attributes. Though they are sharing the attributes of the person, though they have the name, they have age, they have address, everybody will have this, but a student will have some other characteristics, that like what course he is pursuing, and what is his schedule, what is his college name, blah blah. Where employee has a different thing. He has a salary related attributes. He has which organization he is working for, what is his role, what are the key responsibilities, what he has to complete, the target date and all. It is related to the employee, right? But if I am talking about an entity called teaching assistant, which is a student as well as an employee, right? Then he might have some of the attributes, it will take from the student, and some of the attributes he will take from the employee. At the end of the day, if we go with this structure, then the attributes would repeat into the teaching assistant related classification. So this is going to create a problem, because now we have the multiple copies of the different attributes in the teaching assistant classification. This is what C++ confused the programmers. Actually, it is just giving the feature. How you are using it, that is up to you, right? If you care about the cyclic reference and this diamond cut related problem, then you can basically overcome this, but it is very likely to have this kind of problem. On the other hand, we have this example as well. The truck driver is a Japanese, French, anybody can be a truck driver, but an international truck driver will have the features from all these things, right? So this is what the Java doesn't allow you, the multi-inheritance. We'll see what inheritance and multi-inheritance basically during the course. But for now, so Java is simple basically. In many terms, it is very much simple. It is very much managed. It runs in a managed, organized, the runtime kind of system, right? Like a Java virtual machine. So it is managed almost by the machine itself. You are only there to use the language and focus on the business requirements and developing your application. So here is one of these screen which is talking about Java is secure and giving the internal details of that. So you have bytecode verifier and then you have security manager. So there are a lot of things which makes Java a very secure language, right? Okay. So we can talk about key database and the access controller and all, but I just don't want to go into the detail. I'm just giving you the overview that what components are there which makes Java secure. So Java is object oriented. As I said, like whatever you see around the world, all are objects, because object is something which may have some state and the behavior, right? Like I have a fan. A fan has a state that it has a behavior as well. It can move, it can give the air and all. Object can be lifeless also, right? So humans are also like an object. So whatever we see around the world, anything, everything is object. And Java is a pure object-oriented language. When we talk about object in terms of programming language, probably we refer to a banking account, to something called automobile industry. If you're planning a software around that, we talk about the different items. If we are doing the shopping application, right? So when we are doing the shopping application, so probably we are just selling the computer software and hardware, smartphone, car, or whatever, right? It can be anything. So we just deal with the objects. Okay, these are the OOPS concepts, the object-oriented programming language features. The four concepts are there. So basically, before going there, let me start the demo first. So then we can see what are the concepts behind. So for this demo, I am using the Eclipse. This is an integrated development environment which basically gives you all kind of tools and features to do the Java development. So I'll talk about how to set up Eclipse and how to download the JDK, how to run the Eclipse for Java and J2EE settings. Maybe in the next batch, that is for installation. How to make your environment ready for Java development, right? So once you install the Eclipse and once you start the Eclipse, you will get this welcome page where we have different links for tutorials, what is new, overview, and the register. So let me close that and let me come to the environment. Again, probably you won't be able to see this particular page because this is an additional tool which I downloaded. So if you don't see this, don't be surprised. Okay, I'll go to create a new. Here we have enterprise application project, JPA project, and so many other projects are there, right? Connector project, EJB, blah, blah, blah. These all projects are there for creating a specific kind of functionality which enterprise may expose to rest of the world. Okay. It can be a website, it can be a connector that is B2B application, it can be EJB that is a business component, and it can be static website and so many other things, right? So Java is giving you a lot of ways to participate into the enterprise software development. It is up to you which way you want to go. You want to go with this, you want to create a website, you want to create a connector project, you want to create a business components, whatever you want, you can do that. and these are the different kind of components which would be used by all these projects: servlet, session beans, web service, bean, qualifier, notation, all those things are there. Okay, let me just create a simple Java program because we are just starting Java development. But here also you can see you have a lot of projects, a lot of kind of projects are there which could be created in Java. So I just choose a Java project, go to the next, and then I use the default GRE, or which is a JDK basically. This is 1.7 and update is 51, and I'll say this is my test demo project. I'm just giving the project name here. This is the location of this project where all the source file, everything will get installed. And let me say finish. So it is just setting up the building part. Though IDE is not required for Java development, but using a Notepad and Notepad++ or any other ASCII based editor is not preferred nowadays. You just go and download this Eclipse. It's open source and it's free, and it is actually the IDE which you should use for the development. Okay, here it is asking for the perspective. I'll talk about what is perspective, but for now, let's say yes. Okay, so let me close this JBoss Central too, because we don't want this at this time. And you can see you have different windows in the Eclipse. This is a project, this is a package explorer. Then you have a problem window here, Java doc window, declaration, right? So these are the different window which allows you to see many aspects of your program. And here also you have lot many commands, right? So we'll talk about that. In the project you can see you have a SRC source folder and you have this JDK, that is Java Development Kit. So whenever you use to write a Java program, this JDK will use that program and it will provide this program to the JVM, and finally the JVM will run the program. So we need the associated libraries whenever we are writing the program. That comes in a bundle which is called JDK. Okay, so now what I have to create a simple class here. So what I did, I just clicked on the source, or basically the project, right? And you can create a class. So this class is going to be created in the source folder, which is the project name /src, and need to provide a package also. Package is another subdirectory inside this particular src, and where you want to put your class. And package has lot many other meaning, but we'll talk about it later. So let us say my package name is test.firstDemo, and my class name is Java Hello World. It's a very classical application, right? Modifiers, superclass, interfaces, all these things are there, right? Leave as it is, just choose this one, public static void main, and then say finish. So it will create a class for you that is called Java Hello World, and then you have a package name because you created inside this particular package, and you can see here inside the source folder you have test.firstDemo, and this is the package and this is your class, right? If you further explore this, then you will see this is the file name. Inside you have a class called Hello World, and inside you have a function called main, and which is taking a string as an argument, string array basically. If we want to see the hierarchy, we just right click on the project and go to the properties, and we can see this location is there, right? Just copy this location and go to the run and say Control V, so it will take you to that location. Here you have a source folder. A bin folder is also there, which is not here. Basically, it's output folder. Whatever is the output, it will come inside the bin. And these are the metadata files for your Eclipse project. But the interesting thing is, inside the source, you have test and you have first demo and you have this file, which is called Java Hello World. Probably you are seeing this icon because I have installed IntelliJ IDE for Java development, right? And which is associated with Java file, so you are seeing this icon. But not to worry about that, because there are other Java development IDs too, like IntelliJ, and then you have J Developer, then you have NetBeans. These are the development environment for Java development. But we are using Eclipse because it is free. We don't have to buy any license and stuff like that. So okay. So now I have a class which is a Java Hello World, and then we have this function. This is a main function, or this is the entry function basically. So when we say that we had this Java interpreter. So when you have a class file, then you do this Java command, right? Then java.exe is look for a class which will have a main function inside for desktop based application basically. We are just writing a small program. So we are talking about an application which is running on desktop, not running into the client server environment, right? For desktop based application, what Java does, it looks for a class which should have the main method, just like C and C++, right? So it's an entry point, but again an entry point is also there inside a class. So which is indicating that Java is a pure object-oriented, whether you write a single line or you write the other lines, right? Now let me do one thing. Let me just print a message here. Say hello world in Java, right? I write this message by using a API Java provided libraries. Just like in C we have a printf, scanf functions. In case of C++ we have cout, cin. In Java we have system.out.println. Okay. So now let me do one thing. Let me run this program. To run this program, just come here and right click. Then you will have all the bunch of commands, and one of them is run as. Now what do you want to do? You want to run on server or you want to run as an application? Because we are just running, it is for desktop, so I will go and say run as application. So you don't have to go anywhere. You can see your output here in console, right? But when it runs this program, so by default what it does, it creates that class file. Here you have a Java file, but if you go to the bin also will have the same hierarchy of the folders what you have in the source, and here it will create a class file which is nothing but a bytecode, right? And this finally hand over to the Java executor, and Java executor, it basically load into the Java virtual machine, and Java virtual machine execute your program. If I right click and see this bytecode into the notepad++, let us see what happens. you will see all this machinery format. You simply wrote one thing, but it is writing so many things inside, right? So it's not readable, just like machine format. It's not readable. Some of them you can see, some of the string you can see here, like Java, lang, object, blah blah, but it is not understandable at all, right? So it is like a simple. It has a relation with the object code. If you try to equate the object code and the Java class are kind of same thing, but it just the specification. Object code is there for your C++ based programs, whereas in Java case it is a bytecode. So Java has the other element as well. It give you the primitive data type like int, right? If I have an integer and if I have to write a program which will take two integers, let's say x and y, okay, which should take two integer basically, and to add it. So here I have x and y, and this IDE is intelligent enough just to inform you about any problem, right? Whenever it comes, if you see in this yellow color, that means there is a warning. And what the warning is, basically the value of the local x is not used, the value of local variable y is not used. Yeah, we just declared the variables int x comma y, two variables are there, but we did not use it. So it is complaining about. And I would say it's a over smartness, because I just declared, I am about to use it. Why you are complaining? That is why it is warning. It is not an error, right? Because the IDE will not come to know you have just defined, you are not using at all. Okay. Okay. So let us say we have this value 3 and 5, right? Now what we can do, we can create another variable called sum, and we can say x plus y. Now if I have to show this, then I can say sum of x and y equal to sum. And this I am removing from here. It's a very simple program. It is just declaring two variables and just doing summation of that, and finally it is showing over here. So go to the program, and you can right click here, you can right click here, anywhere, and say. Now here when you right click on the project, then there are three options: run on server, run as Java applet, and run as Java application. Or you can define your own configurations for running this program. So I will say, okay, run Java application. Sum of 3 and y is equal to 8. Oh, okay. Sum of okay. I need to print here the value of the y basically. No problem. So that way you can do that. Now it is showing an error. Whenever you have an error, so you don't have to wait until you are compiling your application, but you can see the error here itself, right? So when I remove the extra double quotation, it is started working. Sum of 3 and 5 is equal to 8, right? So that way we can write a simple program. So let me write another program for you into the another class basically. Now I can create a package, class, interface, enum, annotations, and source folder and all. So these four class, interface, enum, and annotation are the four building blocks, or I should say four logic building blocks in Java. Basically, you can create class, you can create interface, enum, and annotation. Right. So let me go and create another class, and I'll say this program. What I'm doing basically, I'm just trying to swap two variables, right? Swap variables, and again the class would be public, right? And you can actually specify this method also, because this point of time every class is a independent program. Every class is an independent program, but maybe when we are writing the actual software, when we are writing the actual programs, then only one of the class would be an independent program, and the rest other classes will participate in that program. As I said, when we are doing this object-oriented development, first whatever is the problem in hand, we identify the problem, and based on the problem domain, we identify the different objects into that. As I said, everything is an object, right? So whatever problem we will have, we will identify those objects first. Based on the object characteristics, we will create the classes like this. What we are creating a swap variable class here. And finally, based on the requirement of the classes, we will design those classes using Java provided features, and those features will help us to tackle with the real kind of problems, right? And then we will assemble these classes, the related classes, into a package. Then we can have a different package altogether in our problem domain. If you see the JRE, the system library, right? All these are the jar files. Okay. The simplest building block is class. On top of that, you can have a related class, you can create a package, you can create a related package, and those related package you can bundle as a jar file. Now suppose I have this resource.jar. If I explore this, then all these packages are inside the com.sun.corba, this and that, right? And they have this property. Okay. Inside they have all the properties. This is basically resource, so it will have all the properties inside. Let's explore another jar called runtime jar. Okay. This jar has number of packages inside. This is all Java library basically. Every package we have some class. Maybe in one package we have only one, in another package we have two, in another package we have more than that, right? So this is how we build a big software. We start with class, interface, everything. Then related classes of a particular program, of a particular problem domain, we put in a package. Then the related package we put in a particular jar. And finally, the jar is a deployable module. A jar is something which we can deploy, which we can sell into the market. Let's say we create one jar file, and this jar file is basically targeting some particular problem, and this problem we have solved using Java classes and Java programming features. And finally, when this jar is there, we can sell this jar to somebody, right? So it's a it's an actual product, right? Just like another manufacturing company, they have all sort of raw materials and then supply chain management system, blah blah blah, and finally they get to some output. So our output is a jar. And different kind of modules are there, like in this case it is jar, but in a web application it can be a war. It's not war actually. not that war, it's a web archive file, right? And then we have EAR file as well, that is the enterprise application archive. So if you create an enterprise application, right, which is tackling with the enterprise related business needs, then you basically hand over, at the end of the day, you hand over the client the EAR file, which is nothing but a zip format, and internally it would have the var and jar, and finally the jar package, and that hierarchy will follow, right? Okay, so let's come to the ground. I think we have gone a little bit up. Let's come to the ground for the time being. And then again, here we have two variables, right? What I want to do, I want to take the values input from the keyboard. How to read the value from the keyboard, that is the first thing which we are going to see in this demo. And after that, I need to swap the values of these two variables basically, right? So it's a simple program, but to do that, I need a scanner. Scanner is a class in the java.util package, right? And if you are using the IDE, then you can see the instantaneous document around a particular class as well, right? So there are two kind of scanner. One is this symbol is for interface, this symbol is for class. I for interface, C for class. It is there in this package, and this is there in this package, java.util. So we need to choose java.util scanner. So the moment I choose this, the scanner, I see one more statement here that is called import, right? Import is like hash include in C, that you are going to utilize some other class into this particular class. So I am going to utilize scanner into this particular class. That's why the import statement has there. Because at the compile time, I need to tell to the compiler that I am using a scanner, and you can find this particular scanner class inside the java.util package. So what I'm doing here, I'm creating a new scanner. Now I have all these different things, right? All the different kind of constructors and everything is there. But let me do this thing. Let me just pass this system dot in here. Most of the part is not understandable for the time being. That's why we are using this new we are using just to create the object of the scanner class, right? And why we had all that different kind of scanner instantiation methods, right? We had a scanner where I was passing a file input stream, the other thing. So just leave it, just bear with me for time being. I'll explain about this. Okay. This is an input capturing object basically. Okay. So what is this? So we can use this object for capturing the input. Oh God. Okay. So before capturing, we should tell user that enter X, whatever is the X value, he has to enter it, and whatever we are just installing or putting a scanner on the keyboard. So whatever value you will enter from the keyboard, it would be scanned by the scanner, and I can ask my scanner now, scanner dot scan next int. Please scan a integer for me and put into the X variable, and then I can ask scanner to scan Y and put into the Y. Okay. Now what I have to do, I have to swap the values. So before swapping, first I will showcase what is the value. So x is equal to whatever is the value of x, and then y is equal to whatever is the value of y. First I will showcase here, and after that I have to swap it, right? So for swapping, what I can do, okay, let me take another variable here, though I can do with these two variables too, but let me use with a simple approach. My logic here is that I will put x into temp first. Now at this line, whatever is the value will go into the temp variable. Then what I'll do, I'll say y is equal to x. So now I am doing y is equal to x. So value of y, whatever was the value of y, will be overridden or overwrite with the x value, right? So that means now y is holding the x value. Now I have to restore x value, which I can restore from temp, because I put the x value into the temp variable. So I can say the restore x value from temp. I think this should work. This should swap the value of x and y. Now after swapping, I can see again what is the value of x and y. Correct? And then this is before swapping. So if you see, we have program here, and which is just first creating the scanner object and asking user to input the value for x and y, and then it is showing a message that before swapping what is the value of x and what is the value of y. Then this is a logic part. What the logic we are writing, we are just taking a temporary variable that is again an integer type, and we are just storing the x value into the temp, and then we are saying, okay, overwrite the value of y with x, and finally restore the value from the temp, and then we are showing this message, right? Okay, so let me run this program on as a Java application. So on the console you will get enter x. Now the cursor is blinking, it is reading, it is waiting for your input. So I say 45 and enter. Don't confuse if the cursor is coming here, because this is the Eclipse console problem, this is not the programming problem. And let me enter the integer called 21 for y value, right? And when I press enter, so before swapping x is equal to 45 and y is equal to 21, and after swapping y is equal to 45 and x is equal to 21 again. So what is the error, what is the problem in this program? Can somebody identify? I can see Ankit, Gigi, Nilay, Ram, Jonas and Yusuf. So can you please identify what is the problem in this particular program? Why it is not showing the desired output? After swapping, it is saying x is equal to 45 and y is equal to 45. Means both values are 45 now. But where is the 21 then? So what we can do to rectify to correct this program? Any guesses? Guys, speak up. Okay. Somebody is saying I think you have to assign x is equal to y. Gigi is saying need to assign x is equal to y. Okay. What about the other guys? What Gigi is saying that this one is wrong. Y's value will override with x value. Temp is equal to y. Ram is saying temp is equal to y. Okay. Temp is equal to y. Gigi is saying x is equal to y. Alright. Any other thoughts? Okay, so I think these are the probable solutions. Either we can do this, temp is equal to y, or x is equal to, both will work, right? So let us do x is equal to y first and see how it is working. Yeah, two values are there. So x is equal to 11 and y is equal to 45. X is equal to 11, y is equal to 45. If x is equal to y, then this is the outcome. Yeah. If I have to say x is equal to y, then here I have to do y is equal to temp. Okay. And Ram is saying, okay, temp is equal to y. See, the ultimate thing is that if we are storing the x value into the temp variable, right, then x value is there in the temp, not a problem. Now what we can do, we can overwrite x values from the y values. So x is equal to y, and then now y value is becoming the x value now, and we can restore the x value into the y using temp. So if I run this, then yeah, I need to save it because it did not get saved. Okay, 23 and 56. So finally it is showing this before swapping 23 and after swapping 56 and 23. See, using temp variable, it is quite good actually. If we have another variable called temp, we can do that, right? Because temporary variable will hold a particular value of a variable, and then we can override the other one and we can later restore. That is good. But what if I don't have temp variable here? This is the restriction. I don't have temp variable. Then how I can do the swapping? Means I only have to use x and y. There is no temp at all. It is the restriction. I cannot take the temp variable in the consideration. I need to write a logic here by using x and y only. Anybody can think of? The logic building is very much. I'm sorry, I was hearing something. Somebody was saying something. Hello. Yeah, speak up, not a problem. Okay, so let me do it for you. I have, let's say I have two numbers, one is 11 and one is 45. If I do the number summation, right, this is my x is equal to 11 and y is equal to 45. And by the way, this is a comment, this will not execute, right, because I started with double slash. Now what I do, if I do x plus y and store the value into x, at this point of time, what would be the value of x? X would be almost 56, right? This would be 56. Then what I do, if I say y is equal to x minus y, if I say here, then what I am doing, I am saying 56 minus, because now x value is 56 and y value is 45, then what would be the value here? 11, which is the value of y now, right? And again I say x is equal to x minus y, then I have x value which is still 56, but y value is now 11, right? Then what would be the value here? It would be 45 for x. So initially I had 11 for x and 45 for y, but now I have 11 for y and 45 for x. So can I write these three statements just to solve this problem? So what I'll do, I'll say x is equal to x plus y, and then y is equal to x minus y, and finally x is equal to x minus y. Let us run this and we'll see the output. What is the output? X is equal to 22, y is equal to 44. So x is equal to 22 and y is equal to 44, but after swapping, x is equal to 44, y is equal to, right? Can I do with this with a single variable? That is not a valid use case, because if you have a single value, then whom you will swap with? There is nobody to swapping, right? But can I run this exercise with three variables? If I have x, y and z, okay. So can I change x with y, y with z and z with x? Can I do that? Yes, we can do that. Can I do without any temporary variables? Yeah, we can do without any temporary variables also. But that needs, you have to think about it. You have to, just look around for different possibilities, how we can do that. So this is the exercise for you guys. So probably you do this swapping for three variables, right? And we'll check it later on. So we were talking about the OOPS concept and the object-oriented Java. OOPS concepts are like abstraction, inheritance, encapsulation, and polymorphism. Let's go into the detail. What is abstraction? So abstraction is just the way you perceive the things, you see the things. It's a concept, it's a tool basically which enables you to deal with the complexities. If you see in one of the example here, I have a camera, right, and this picture is basically showing the internal part of this camera also, right. You have zoom in, zoom out, flash on, off, autofocus, and different things, and once you press these buttons, internal mechanism will take place and it behaves to fulfill that function, autofocus, flash on, or whatever is there, right? So what you are doing, you are using this camera as an abstraction to take these snaps, but at the same time you are not going into the internal details. For you, this is just a camera and these are the buttons which are just designed on the camera on the different places. Somewhere you have the power, or not the power, the snap button, you have this flash on off. Power button is also there, the behind the camera. Autofocus is there. So you are using this as an object, as a complete entity, and whatever are the functions which are rendered on this particular camera, you are using that. At the same time, you are not going into the details, the mechanism, how it is exactly working. You are not worried about that. That is because that is not your worrying area. You have to use this object, right? So abstraction is just to deal with the complexity without worrying about the complexity and all. You are just worrying about the features, how to use it, but how it is happening internally is not your problem. It's not your worry area, right? I think, yeah, it is one of the confusing concept of object oriented which does not get in the first place. So let us see another example where a driver is there. He used this car, right? He has a steering and then he has a clutch, everything, accelerator. He used this car. He doesn't worry about how internally it works, right? But we have the automotive engineer who designed this car. So abstraction is about designing how you are fitting the things on a particular object to make it convenient for its intended users. So this person is basically designed the car, but he uses the electronic control units, and he is not worrying how the electronic control unit works. So car designer basically designed this, and he used capacitors and transistors, and he is not worrying how the capacitors and transistors actually made of. He was just told that this is a capacitor, this is a transistor, and you can use it to design an electronic circuit. And automotive engineer use electronic circuit to design the different mechanism of the car, and finally driver use it. So there are different level of abstraction. For a single object, you can just go into the deep level. But again, it depends on your role and your stand. How do you interact with the object, and what is your motto to interact with the object? What is your usability basically? And based on that, you just drill down about the offerings or about the features of that object. In another example, this person is seeing a car and he is just looking from a car perspective. Yeah, any car, any user, it's a simple car for him. But an automobile engineer is looking from a force perspective, that F is equal to Mn, right? Something like that. She's thinking about what force it will apply, the momentum, how it would be, how it is going to work for anti-braking system, all those other aspects she's thinking about. So an abstraction includes the essential details relative to the perspective of the viewer. It just includes the essential details which are essential for you from your perspective, right? Because the same object can be used by different viewers for different perspectives. So it just defines the classification of the hierarchies of dealing the complexities or using the object in that intended way. Inheritance is quite simple, like it is just the classification and subclassification, or categories or subcategories, or classes or subclasses, or parent or child. Number of terminologies are there. Like we have animal, the swimmers, walkers, flyers. These are the subclassification of animals, and finally we have all these different and the further classification. This is a multi-inheritance where it is not in Java that we saw in the earlier slide that this is a horse and this is a bird and this is a peagus. So it's a multi-inheritance because it is inheriting feature from both, right? Just like person, student and employee and teaching assistant, the previous example. So inheritance is also a concept of object orientation. This is an encapsulation, right? Encapsulation basically hide the detail of your method and variables, or basically state and behavior. If we talk about in abstract form or from pure object oriented methodology, in object oriented methodology we say the encapsulation is basically hiding the data and methods. In object oriented programs, in object oriented methodology, we basically just hide the state and behavior inside a single construct which is called object. Whereas in C program, what happens? If I now compare the procedure C program and the object oriented program, in C program, if you people are familiar with this C, then in C we used to define the global level variables, and those variables shared in between the functions. We used to write the structures just to capture the custom data like person characteristics or the attributes. If we have to capture, then we have to create a person structure over there. It will have the person age, name, address, whatever characteristics we are interested in, right? So abstraction, our design basically tell us that we are interested only in these characteristics, though the person will have thousands of other characteristics and the thousands of other attributes associated with him. He may have a policy, he may have a license, he may have different identity cards, but we are not worrying about that. We just only need his name, address, that's it. So this is our perspective, how we are seeing that person into the problem domain. If it is related to the banking application, then we need its identification data, we need its the social security number, or we need other related information too. But if the person is a student, right, or if he is a assistant programmer or the teaching assistant somewhere else, we don't worry about what policy he is having. Are we worrying about that? No, because that is not there in our problem domain. So encapsulation is basically a technique to hide your behavior and state together. Just like a smartphone, if you see your interface, whom you are interacting with, touching the finger through finger or pressing some button is just an abstraction. It's a design of your smartphone. How exactly when you press OK internally, how it is connecting to the hardware, and which in turn connecting to the software, and which in turn actually giving you some output on the screen is not your problem, right? Is not what you are looking at. You are just looking at this object to use it. But behind the screen, it is encapsulating the circuit, right? Behind this particular glass, it is encapsulating circuit and the logic. And the last thing is the polymorphism. We have like three cars, the car, and we have Ford car, we have Honda car, right? It use a normal engine, it use something else. So every car has a behavior called move, right? So if we are using polymorphism in programming world, then what we can say that objects who has a common methods can be treated commonly, right? We don't have to write a specific logic for each and every object. We can just treat those objects as a collection of objects. So this is about polymorphism. If you don't get it as it is, not a problem, because it takes little time to tune our mind to think in that manner. It will take some time to apply the class, object, and all those principles into the real world, because object oriented is a real world programming language. Everything, whatever is there in the real world, we can compare with the object oriented programming. So it's very easy to model the problem domain into programming language, because both are kind of following the real world principle. In real world we have hierarchy, we have supervisor, we have employee, we have the low level employee, right? In object oriented we have hierarchy in terms of inheritance. In real world there is a information confidentiality. We cannot disclose a particular information after a particular level. In object oriented we have encapsulation which hide the information. We have access modifiers which restrict information which cannot go out of a class, right? In real world we have hierarchy, or no hierarchy, or that is in real world we have different concepts. We have policy, we have organization, right? We have course, we have schedule. So these are concepts, and to represent those concepts we have abstraction. So that way I would say like it's very um, practical to actually map your problem domain into object oriented technologies. And once you get this capability, this skill to relate that, and if you are aware with the programming problems and how to use different keywords, how to uh, you know uh, do the best utilization of programming constructs which comes with the programming language, once you learn this, understand this, then the further studies for a different library framework, that would be little bit easy. Like if you are going for a web development, then you can basically go for EJB and servlet and JSF or JSP, HTML, JavaScript. So these all things you can learn easily once you know the basic principles of programming and you practice the logic building exercises. Just like what we did. What we did was just to swap the two numbers without using a third variable. Okay then. Then the demo has done. Java as a career. See, nowadays I can see the industry is moving towards the technology very fast. It's moving very fast. We have the big data, Hadoop. We have different script language. We have multi processing capabilities, parallel computing. We have different interfaces in terms of the hardware, and the smartphones are just capturing everything. So this is the era where it's not only about to write a program, it's about to write a effective RWD program. RWD means responsive web design program. You have to write a program which is not only suitable for one class of devices, but it has to cope up with the different kind of devices, right? So the program should have the capability to what I should say that it should have a capability to act or to respond in such a manner so that the target device should get the best of it. See, that days is gone where you are just writing a UI and you are expecting user to do everything for you. If you remember the old days where we had the UI, it was a very blunt UI, so that you are asking user, okay, enter this, and it is your responsibility to check what you are entering, why you are entering, and there is no help at all, right? Nowadays, if you write anything in a Google, a very few characters, you will get hint. Oh, you meant this or that. So this is a kind of adaptive programming, right? You are just giving users a very best UI experience, correct? So that needs different kind of layers where you are giving the automated list and you are just taking track, you are just keeping track of the user activities, what he has done in the past. When he's coming back to your website, then again you are telling him, okay, this is what you have done, right? And you are also giving a social gateway where it is he's connecting with different type of social media and platforms. So that way the database what we were using from decade like RDBMS based data type, that is also changing into the document or oriented database, and we are getting the new versions of languages as well, right, which is coming with all the I would say the parallel computing capabilities. Like Java 8 has a lambda expression. Lambda expression is basically just to run the programs in parallel. You can do the functional programming with that. You can use the multi-core processors. Though we have multi-threading, but it was not easy in Java. But now it is like piece of cake. But with that, the requirements are even getting more complex. So by seeing all this, still still Java is one of the best language to write the enterprise software. And Java is there more than 75% of enterprise software, or I think it's not 75%, it's more than that, it's almost 80%. What else we have instead of Java? We have .NET framework, which just recently came, right, around I think 5 to 6 years back. They started with .NET framework. Earlier, Microsoft was just using their own Monopoly based C++ code, and they were using Visual Basic, and it was like it will only support their operating system and their environment. Now when they saw the Java popularity, then they actually created this .NET framework, which is actually supporting a CLI and maybe targeting almost 53 languages now. But the time what they picked is gone now, right? They have captured, Java has captured almost 80% of enterprise software development, and it has a very I would say a very big space across the language what we have for jobs. Basically, we are just doing this Java for job purpose, just want to enhance our position, or just want to get a new breakthrough or something like that, right? So let's come to the main point where we can say, okay, what kind of roles and responsibilities we can do with the Java in hand. And Java is a kind of base for enterprise software development. I'm not saying it's a mother of language, because mother is only one, that is C. that nobody can beat it still today. But Java is a base for enterprise software development. So you can basically play a role where you can be a UI developer or web developer if you have some HTML knowledge with Java JSP, JavaScript, and on top of that, if you have some this thing JavaScript based framework like EXTJS, AngularJS, Backbone. So basically, it's a very good profile nowadays if you are keen on the UI front end, right? Because now the UI front end, they are also very smart people. They are also getting almost similar salary to the developers who are working on the server side, right? Because of this, the responsive web design, because of this, the Ajax kind of framework, and the expectations from the user side that it has to similarly behave like a desktop application. We have desktop application, there is no refresh required, there is no delay, and everything is happening instantly. Now they need the same effect on the web application, and we have examples. I mean, you go and you see LinkedIn, the other website like Facebook, and there are hundred of thousands of other websites which are following these guidelines, because we have to keep users happy, right? Otherwise, who will see my website? And if there is no website, as a programmer, what I will cook? Nothing. So as an engineer, you can again go into the Java R&D based work for product companies, and it just start with the engineer, then you will maybe software engineer, and then you will become senior software engineer, and then you become principal engineer, and the starting is almost 55K per annum, which is a quite decent amount for starting. You can be a tester. Now the manual testing is gone almost, though it is there still for, but now the automation like Selenium, this also needs a Java skill. You need to know Java if you want to do the automation scripting, and automation testing has a lot of scope. If you are able to create the proprietary or means the problem oriented framework basically in automation script, that that needs little bit time, but if you consistently work for that, you will be there. Then we have lead is almost 6 to 7 years of experience in Java, and it basically assists the junior developers and senior developers, and communicate with the client, requirement gathering, architectural decision, and he just participate in that. But we have architect on top of that, which is overall Java tech stack knowledgeable person, right? And the starting would be almost 120K, mostly on contract. These are highly paid jobs. And on top of that, we have consultant for technical strategy, right? For the migration, for changing the technology from one technology to the next evolving technology into the whole enterprise or into a particular business unit, then we need a special consultants. Those those things are like there, but everything is just a start with a single bubble, right? We have a molecule, and then from molecule all those objects form. This is the same way in Java also. So this is it for today. Do I have any questions from anybody? Oh, one second. Oh, is this course covers and thing for auto compiling application to real-time environment and scripting and Maven. Okay. See, Ant script, we have this deployment this thing unit inside the course where we talk about how to deploy on the server. So there we cover basically Maven, but Ant is also a part because when we start deployment unit, then we can tell about the Ant as well. But if you are looking at that Ant, each and every the construct of the Ant script, then it would be a the non-interest for the other users maybe. But suppose if you are joining this course and if you have any specific doubt in that, once I give you the overview about the Ant script, and not an overview, basically a full-fledged Ant script, and for a big project, I have a project which I use to demonstrate the different aspects, because if I'll just go with the small programs, those are good for learning, but to see the Java in action, I demonstrate a big project, right? There we have a lot of Ant script, module wise Ant script, and finally the Ant script which is actually deploying the EAR to final JBoss. But you have to also be cooperative when we are doing this. Yeah. Anything else? Anybody else has any question? I think you can take over then if they don't have any questions then. Okay, thanks a lot guys. I'm here for next 5 minutes. If you have really some question, you can. What is this? Do you cover how to use version controlling tools to manage code version? Uh, that too, yes. The SDN we can cover it. Yes, Ram. Thanks, Ankit. Yeah, you're welcome. Eclipse and IntelliJ. So IntelliJ is a licensed version. Difference, smartness. IntelliJ is more smart than the Eclipse. It has some tools for doing the analysis, code coverage. Please unmute to Ram. What I was saying about Eclipse, Eclipse is just an open source developer. It's very good IDE. There is no doubt about that. But when it comes to the production development, when it comes to the the actual programming you are doing inside the organization, most of the organizations are following Eclipse. But mostly the product-based companies, they need the the extra reports for code coverage, for analysis of the dependencies of the different classes, and there are hundred of other plugins which are available for IntelliJ. Right. I also work for IntelliJ most of the times, so I would say it is more smarter than the Eclipse. But if it is for learning purpose, then I think Eclipse is fine, not a problem at all. Otherwise, you have to buy the license for IntelliJ. Yeah, Ram, what questions you have? Ram, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think he's muted.
Now I can hear you. You can speak up.
No. Yeah, I mean Ram's muted.
Ram's muted.
Yeah.
No, he is saying, can you please unmute me? I have some other question. He can't type everything. So can you
Yeah,
unmute him?
he's unmuted now. Ram, can you speak?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. So I have gone through the course content. So basically, I do have bits and pieces of experience in Java. I know core Java and all, but I never worked in a real-time environment in Java platform. So, that's the reason why I would like to see. Anyway, I need to brush up the Java, core Java, and other things. So anyway, I will do that through this course. But in addition to that, in the real time, like let's say after completion of this course, if I started joining in any company or in any project, I want to. I believe that I need all these skills to be on hand, right? Like how to manage the version, how to manage the versions, and how to automate this compiling. Maybe some environments, some other teams will take care of that. But anyway, anyway, you are the experienced faculty, so I thought of getting that knowledge from you. So I believe you can cover you will cover those things, right?
Yeah, as I said that the version controlling, let's say the SVN, right? It's an open source version repository tool. You have Perforce, you have other version controlling tools. So if you want, then yeah, we can go over, and it is like a tool. So you don't have to do too much coding over there. It is not at all required. You need to know how to check in, check out, how to create the patch, right? So those things those things we can cover up in maybe one-to-one somewhere after finishing the session sometime. I'm giving you another 10 minutes or 15 minutes to explain that, and then you can practice on that, right?
No, but anyway, you are offering a project, right? Why don't you include in that project? Because project is a part of if you add that in the part of project, so then we don't need to learn separately, right?
And this is a good suggestion. We'll take it in a positive note, and I feel it is required, but we'll talk internally. I mean, the coordinator, whoever is designing the course content.
Okay.
And but as per your need, since it may be not of the interest for the others, so that's why I'm saying that it's just a matter of 15-20 minutes for you and me. We will probably take after one session sometime when you are suppose free and I am kind of free, then probably we can go over and we can explain about the code repository and for that matter anti-script, right?
Okay.
So these things are not a big challenge, not a problem at all.
Okay. And a couple of other things, because this is my observation while working. So some logging is also very important thing in nowadays in programming, and the rules engines also, like most of the areas wherever these enterprise applications have been developed, the rules engine is also one of the major thing. So cover the J rules and J rules. I think Java had the J rules, right? Do you cover those things as part of this course?
See, in that manner, Java has everything, whatever you can do in the software development, right? So
Okay.
it's not about J rule, it's about BPM. Java has a JBPM also. Java has a cryptography, security, so many things are there. But this course is intended for a person who just want to learn the core Java. On top of that, he just want to see how the this Java web applications are working, how to create the web application. On top of that, the business components, then how to interact with the database, how to create the web service, and finally to use the service oriented architecture using Mule or Fuse, right?
Okay.
J rule, and for that matter we have separate courses, right? If you want, then you can go and you can maybe talk about these courses as well. We have Jasper reports, we have this J rule, then JPM. But if we
Okay.
are mixing everything in one course, then this course duration, what we predicted, should be 1 month or 1 month, 4 to 6 weeks. Then that will not be achievable. Getting my point?
Yeah,
No, I
well,
understood. I
yeah. Look,
understood.
yeah, Ram. What we can do is we can add them on. After we get to a certain stage of the training on request.
Okay, sure, sure. That's not a problem. And one more question I have. See, I think you mentioned different frameworks, right? These are just like only theoretically you discuss them and you will explain them what is that and how that works. That's it, right? But we are not going to do anything in that framework, right? Like any project or any exercises, correct?
Nothing is theoretical. If we are saying that we will cover Hibernate, then we will cover Hibernate. We will cover Hibernate templates and JDBC templates. If we are saying that we are covering Spring, then we will cover Spring MVC flow. Now in Spring, there are almost 22 or 24 modules, right? But we are not going to cover each and every module. We will cover the modules which are related to the web development, like Spring MVC, Spring Core, or right.
Okay.
That way, Hibernate is now is very big. But what we are saying, we will go and see how the relationship happening between the classes and how this ORM is working in implementation, how you are defining the POJO entity classes, how you map to the table, how do you save into the database, how do you come back, take back the result from the database. Those things we will cover in the Hibernate. Now,
Okay.
if you talk about the Hibernate caching framework is there, then Hibernate, supporting the multi-page map properties, those things are there. So those are the advanced topics, and those comes when you are actually dealing with it. But if you know the basics, if you know the core Java, for you to learn Java J2EE is not a deal, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. No, actually, okay, I understood what you're saying. I think probably it's not possible to cover in detail each and every topic in this course. But the thing is that, what I am looking for is, once I complete this course, I may be in the position to work in a real time without any help. Okay.
I
So
tell
for
you
that,
one thing.
what are the...
I got your intention. I tell you one thing. You take this course, you will be able to understand so many things, but at the same time, you need to do the practice and you need to get involved in the real time environment and scenarios to actually do the work without your help. Nobody, no course can make you perfect after finishing the course, and so that you would deploy as directly maybe the senior software engineer, and you would hand over the responsibility of creating a module. Whatever, wherever, anywhere, if you will join a job, especially in the Java role, right? Because the Java software is not maintained by a single person. There are thousands of classes in a particular project. There are maybe 10 or 20 places where you have to do the configuration, right? So you must have to learn the internal architecture of that project first, how that project is working. Yeah, you know core Java, so you can by seeing the code you can understand what is happening in this piece of code, but how exactly it is contributing to the whole software or to that particular module, that you will learn over the period of time. Because
Right.
this is Spring and framework, these are the open source framework, right? Mostly used by the companies, but the sophisticated projects never use these open source framework, right? What they do, they create the proprietary framework based on the Java language, because Java language itself is a very powerful. You can do You can create your own frameworks. Okay. So if it is the case, suppose if you get the job in this kind of environment, then what you will do? You know Spring, but Spring is not there. Spring-like framework is there, what they have developed in-house, that they are calling a proprietary framework.
Right.
But by using your knowledge, what you can do, you can start understanding the code. You understand the code, you learn the code, and slowly you will, get settled in the environment.
Right. And I understood what you're saying. And one more last question I have. So as part of this, I think you are covering a service-oriented architecture also, or like technology, right?
That is Mule. Yeah.
Mule, okay. So is this part of that you will cover both SOAP and REST services?
SOAP and REST. See, we will just go over the Mule first, the configuration and a basic program, right?
Okay.
And we will cover the REST first, and if time permits, then the SOAP also.
Oh, I see. Okay, I think that's what I have, and thanks for answering all my questions.
Yeah, not a problem. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. So just like Ashish reiterated, whatever we have highlighted will be covered in details for everyone. So that really should not whatever is being highlighted in the course. All of those will be covered in details, and at the same time, it's all practical demonstration. Nothing is just discussing what is Spring or rather what is Hibernate. Trying to understand definition and usage. That doesn't end there. We will talk about the practical implementation and everything else. Okay.
Right. No. The points which I bring up is those are the connecting points which are missing like in real time environment. Let's say that if I join in this project, so those things maybe we don't need in-depth knowledge of that, but we have to know how to use them and where to use them. That's it.
Yep, I completely understand. And in terms of connecting the dots when it comes to training and reality, Ashish will be the best person because he himself has been doing this for over a decade now.
Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds like that. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you. Thanks for that.
No problem. Yep. So Nilay, Ankit, Jonas, any question from you guys?
Yes, please. I think do you hear me?
Yes, Jonas, we can hear you.
I think to continue this program, we have pre-knowledge for core Java. So,
I beg your pardon. Can you repeat that question, Jonas? I missed your question.
Core Java is a prerequisite for this course.
Core Java is A?
No. To continue this training, I think we have enough knowledge about core Java.
No, you are not. I mean, if you think that you should have core Java as a prerequisite for this program.
No. Yeah, no. You don't need that. Yeah, because core Java is a part of the course itself.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't need to know anything. You don't have to worry about that. We assume that certain people will know certain things. Certain people will come in with no knowledge at all. So the audience is like that, Jonas. We don't expect you to know anything and everything when you join this course. Our goal is to make sure you get all of this when you get out of the class, when you get out of the training.
Okay, I'm from mathematical background. I'll try to do my best.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Nilay, any question? I was hoping I would hear a few questions from you. Or are we all clear? Ankit is clear. Nilay, you are mute. I have just unmuted your microphone. If you can hear us, you can speak and you can let us know what your thoughts are, and if you have any questions for Ashish before I let him go, you can bring up those questions for us here. Nilay? Okay. What are the concepts that will be covered as core Java? Yeah, we'll talk tomorrow. Okay, no problem, Nilay. Great. So Ankit, no problem, Nilay. Okay, Ankit, to answer that question, I will bring up the course content for you. Okay, and then I'll just show you. Ashish, you can drop off if you are, if you have got work. I can take over from here.
Yeah.
And thanks a lot, Ashish. I'll talk to you later tonight.
Sure.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah.
Have a good night. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, so Ankit, I'm gonna bring up the course content for you, just to show you the what are covered in core Java, right? That's what you wanted to know, right? Jonas, you might want to look at this as well, because you were of the impression that you might need to know core Java to learn this, but no, that's not that's not entirely true. You don't need to know anything, like I mentioned earlier. We will teach everything that is required for you to be a complete Java programmer in this course. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so you guys can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yep. So this is basically Peter's screen, not my screen. Okay. So let me see course outline. Oh my God. Oh, come on. Okay, here you go. Seriously, what's wrong with this browser? Oh my God, all these ads. Okay, so here are the ones. Detailed coverage for core Java. You see this core Java, right, Ashish? I'm sorry, Ankit?
Yes.
Yeah, so these are the entire topics. Okay. We have simple Java program. We have JDK here, classes and objects, data, methods, constructors and initialization, encapsulation is covered here, scopes, references, classes. Everything is, yeah, JDBC, handling exceptions, classes. These are important ones, which will be very helpful for you in the long run. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this content. I'm going to put it on the chat box for you. Fine?
Yeah.
Something for you to look at, just copy that and then put it up on your browser as well. You got it, right?
Yes.
Ankit, Nile, Jonas? Yep. So Jonas, just click open that content, and it will pull up all the details. Okay. All right. And outside of this, we do placement as well. That was something that I wanted to tell or let everyone know. We do placements. We have a very good placement and immigration solution in place. We have acquired a few businesses who handle placement and immigration solution in the United States, and we are using their existing expertise to provide these services. So in case you have placement requirement, job support requirement, or interview preparation requirement, we'll take care of all of those here. Okay. Great. So outside of this, do you have any questions for me? What we will do is, Jonas, the number that I called earlier to help you set up your WebEx, is that the best number to reach you, or the other one which is already available in the system? Jonas, can you confirm the best number? Or you can put it in the, okay, fine. Okay, so Ankit, Nile and Jonas will talk to you tomorrow one-on-one, and we will take this forward from there. Okay?